So from what I read, it looks like you have some occasional swelling in your hand.
Yeah.
Okay.
I tend to swell up when I'm walking and stuff. It's
Okay.
really bothersome.
All right. So that looks okay. And it'll take digital measurements, and we can use these along with the manual measurements that I will take to create the best custom fit for you. So see, the black is just a little more harsh.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So I'll go ahead and mark that down. That is 630002. Hi, Samantha.
Hi.
Welcome to the office.
Thank you.
So it looks like I have you in today for a custom glove fitting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So from what I read, it looks like you have some occasional swelling in your hand.
Yeah.
Okay.
I tend to swell up when I'm walking and stuff. It's
Okay.
really bothersome.
And is it just the one hand?
Yeah.
Usually. Okay. And it's this, so it's your left. Are you left or right-handed? Just to get, so you're left-handed. Okay. So it is your dominant hand. All right. So we'll be working with the left hand. And you said you typically tend to get the swelling when you're walking around a lot, so like increased with movement?
Yeah.
Okay. Would you say this typically happens more at a certain time of the day, like more in the morning or more after a long day in the evening?
More so like in the afternoon.
In the afternoon, okay. All right. Now, would you say that the swelling comes with any pain or discomfort, or just like overall edema of the fingers?
Yeah, like edema of the fingers.
Do you feel like it's in all 5 of the fingers? Okay, so there's no place on the hand specifically that tends to get more swollen. And how far up the wrist would you say?
It doesn't go far up the
Not
wrist.
very far.
It just like stays within the
Stays
fingers.
in the fingers, okay. So even on the other side of your hand, the palm, there's not much swelling there.
No, the palm tends to get more clammy.
Okay, so the clamminess might have something to do with temperature regulation. If you're having swelling of the fingers, that kind of makes sense. So I will feel around a little bit, excuse me, and see if I notice anything there. So we might need to do something that's a little bit more like a breathable material. It might be something that we consider. All right. Now, as far as the glove itself, were you looking for something that is very kind of standard? You don't really care about the aesthetics of it, or did you want something that's a little more fashion forward that looks
a little bit fashionable? I want to wear it like with certain outfits.
okay? So that makes sense for sure. So we will look for something that's a little more fashion forward, something that doesn't read medical assistive device. So that makes sense. All right. So I will go over kind of fabric options, textures, that kind of thing with you in just a little while. So first thing I'm going to do is start with a bit of a visual inspection. I want to have an overview of the hand itself, see if there's anything that I see is concerning. I'm going to start with a pair of gloves on just to assess the area, see if you have any open wounds, that kind of thing. Okay. Now, at this time, would you say that your hand is about its standard size? Are you experiencing any swelling just now, or
no? Not right now.
Okay. So that'll kind of give me a good baseline of what it looks like when it's not affected at all. Excuse me, my bracelet is fighting with my glove there. So I'm just gonna have a look. Is it okay if I go ahead and touch your hand? Okay. So just to start with, I do feel quite a bit of temperature variation within the hand itself, actually. So your palm and the kind of back side of your hand here is much warmer than the fingers. Your fingers are very, very cold. Is that something that you would say is typical for you?
Yeah, it is.
Okay. Yeah, we've got quite a significant temperature variation here, actually. All right. So just having an overall feel. I don't see anything open. I don't see any cuts or anything. Nail beds look healthy. I'll have a closer look at that in a second. Your hands are very well moisturized. That's a good sign. Just have you flip your hand over for me, Samantha. Good. So again, on this side, pretty warm, especially up the wrist here. And then as we come closer to the fingers, it does get quite a bit colder. So Might consider a hybrid fabric, something maybe with a lining, more so in the fingers to keep them a little bit warmer. Those are all options that we can consider. Overall, though, I don't see any abnormalities of this skin. I'm not seeing anything like eczema or psoriasis, nothing topical, nothing that appears to be anything that we need to keep in mind. So I'm going to go ahead and take my gloves off. Now, would you say that your day-to-day activities around the times that you're going to be wearing the gloves, does it involve a lot of movement? Do you need to have a lot of mobility in the hand itself?
I do need a little bit of mobility
Okay.
because I'm constantly picking things up and down.
Okay, all right. So I am going to have a bit of a closer look here with my pen light. So I'm going to have a look at the skin itself. Is it okay if I roll your sleeve up just a little bit here? Okay. I'm just going to give myself a little bit more of surface area to have a look at. Obviously, unless you wanted gloves that extend that far, we won't be going up the wrist, but I just want to have a bit of better look here. So okay. Starting up here, higher on the wrist, just using more unaffected area as a baseline. I'm going to come down towards the fingers. Okay. Having a look at the knuckles, this tends to be where we see a lot of swelling. Now, would you say the swelling starts at the very base of your fingers, or is it more around the joint specifically, or the fingers as a whole?
I think it's more so the base of the fingers.
Okay.
You can feel it in the fingertips.
So kind of like around here, and then splits. Fingertips are just very cold. Nail beds are very healthy, in good shape. So that's a good sign. I'm going to have you just flip your hand for me, please. Again, just starting at the unaffected area there. Okay. The skin is very smooth. Do you notice whether or not the swelling is more on either the back palm side or the back of your hand?
No,
It's about even?
Yeah.
Okay. Or at least not noticeable one way or another? Okay. Some people do get more swelling either on the palm or on the other side, so it is good just to note. So right now I would say I'm not feeling much swelling at all. So we will definitely accommodate for spacing as I take measurements here. So, all right. Just gonna go in with a secondary light. This one just has a magnifying glass on it, so it's just going to allow me to look at the skin a little more closely. I just want to make sure I'm not noticing any other abnormalities or conditions that we need to keep in mind. So if you flip your hand back over for me. So I'll look at the nail bed specifically. Do you typically wear your natural nails? Do you ever have nail extensions or anything? Okay.
Very rarely.
And is this length about standard for you?
They actually sometimes go a little bit longer and then they start chipping.
Okay, so just so we have kind of an idea of how long you would want the glove to be or how much space to accommodate for. So for example, I typically have acrylic nails on, so I would need a longer glove. So just something to keep in mind there. If you don't get your nails done very frequently or you don't have any extensions, it might not be something we need to accommodate that much space for, but something like a couple centimeters is usually helpful. Okay, all right, so that looks okay. All right, good. All right, so what I'm going to do before we take measurements is place a special glove on you. Now, this glove is made of a very specific material. I will warn you, it does feel just slightly itchy. It has some metal fiber in it. It's going to allow me to take a picture with my camera and it'll pull like a digital rendition of your hand. So kind of a 3D model of your hand that will assist us when we make your glove. So let's go ahead and put this on. Just make sure. tricky because the fibers are very stiff. Now, I would say you have slightly longer fingers, so definitely something we will keep in mind. So, is it okay if I take this off just for the photo? I'll set it over here. Okay. So I am going to have you just kind of stretch your hand out in a way that feels natural but also extended, and then as flat on the table as you can at the palm. Very good. Okay. So I'm just going to take a picture here. Just pull up your file. Alright, and just gonna take a photo here. Very good. Alright, and if I could have you flip your hand for me, I'll do the other side as well, and then again, just as flat as you can, and then slightly extended but not over. Good. Okay. Now I'm going to have you pull your fingers together. Good. And then we'll flip your hand over and do that position one more time. Perfect. All right, you can go ahead and relax. So just to show you, so we took a couple of different positions here, and essentially how this works is the fiber that's in the glove will connect with our software. So once I input this, it'll give me kind of a 3D rendition of your hand. It'll take digital measurements, and we can use these along with the manual measurements that I will take to create the best custom fit for you. So I find that it's been quite helpful since we've implemented that technology. All right. So let's go ahead and take this off. I know this fabric is not the most enjoyable. All right, so we can move on to the next portion of your fitting today. So let me just check off that we did finalize your digital fitting. And then I wanted to note that you said nails are typically short, maybe just slightly longer, so I'll just accommodate that. All right, okay. Okay, so let's take a couple of measurements just so I kind of have an idea. I'm going to start with just very standard kind of length of your fingers and that kind of thing. So I'm actually going to use this here. So I'll have you just lay your hand in a position that is natural and feels comfortable. I'm going to start by marking a middle spot. So if I measure, I'm just going to use the centimeter side here. If I measure, you're right at about 4.5 there, I would say. Okay. So I'm just going to mark right about here. This is just a washable, non-toxic chalk. So that just gives me a point from which to measure so that everything is symmetrical. So, all right. So let's go ahead and measure each finger from that point. So 7.5 at the thumb. Yeah, this is left thumb. Right at about 9 at the index finger. 1/4 at the ring finger, not that much. I'm sorry, at the middle, not that much of a difference there. All right. About 8 3/4 there. And just shy of 8 at the pinky, so we will call that about, okay, so all right. So I'm gonna have you bring your fingers just together kind of tautly for me so that I can measure here. 0.25, and then if you can do the opposite and just extend for me. Good. Quite a big difference there, 10. So you do have good range of motion of the hand. That's something that we definitely need to keep in mind. So our 4.5, and then our extension is about 10 point out. Okay. All right, and then I'm just going to go ahead and measure around the wrist here. So, would you say that is too loose? You want a little bit of a tighter fit?
Yeah, definitely
Okay.
more tighter.
So that if I come in a little bit, you can tell me, is that too tight?
No, I think
That feels comfortable? Okay. And you don't get any swelling typically in the wrist?
Not usually.
Okay. So we are at about just shy of 9 1/4 there. Okay. So, wrist. Now you said occasionally your nails are slightly longer. Can you just show me like a little estimation so that I can try to account for?
They usually go to about there, like the gap in between.
Okay, so that space is about how long it typically varies. All right, so then it's not very much. We'll say that's about 2 to 3 centimeters there. So I will go ahead and mark that down. So we'll have a variable 2 to 3 centimeter to accommodate for nail length. Now we don't want to allow so much space that when your nails are shorter, it feels like they're, baggy a little bit at the finger, but we want to allow enough space to where if your nails are ever longer, it doesn't feel tight either. So that is a good thing to note there. Okay. Now we can go ahead and look at our options. I have a couple different things for you to consider. Go ahead and grab these for you. So now you said you want something that's more everyday wear. That can mean a lot of different things. So I have several fabric options, and then we can kind of talk about length, fit, if you want it more taut, a little bit more loose, if you feel like you're not getting enough mobility in that kind of fabric, that kind of thing. So just to give you an example, our most kind of rugged outdoorsy, I would say these are more if you're planning on wearing them at the gym or if you're going rock climbing or that kind of thing. They are very rugged, they're very thick, also very durable, so just something to keep in mind. So these are textured at the palm to allow for better grip strength. They also have padding, so if you're ever weightlifting or that kind of thing, it allows you just a little bit more flexibility there. I would say these are quite a bit more rigid. They don't allow for as much mobility. They're more about like protection of your hand. Okay, so that is something to consider there. And then these are more of an everyday wear, I would say. These are kind of just a regular fabric blend. Obviously we can do these in different colors. I will say this fabric tends to pick up a lot of lint just kind of naturally, just the way that it's woven. So this is an extended cuff. We do have a version with a cuff that is shorter. So that is another option. These are fairly soft. And then this is our cotton option. So these are 100% cotton. They do have a silk lining, which is optional. These also have the option to have the tip that allows you to use your phone still, if that's something that you, especially since it's your dominant hand, that might be something that you'd want to keep in mind. I find this fabric quite nice. It is very breathable, nice and stretchy. I will say it's just a tad thin. Very breathable, as I said, because of the cotton, but just a tad thin, and your fingers do tend to run just a little bit cold. I don't have an example to show you as far as a glove, but the other option we would have would be either leather or a vegan leather. Okay, so would you say out of these three or the leather option, do you think that there's one that you're more leaning towards?
I think I'm leaning more towards the leather.
The leather? Okay, so I do have some swatches of the leather that I can show you. All right, so let's go ahead and set that aside, and then I will show you. I do have some leather swatches here. All right, now these vary greatly. Obviously, there's a lot of swatches here. You're welcome to touch them and see if there's any that you like. Now, the fabric does vary as well. So they are all leather, but the fabric is kind of imprinted here, or we have one that's a little bit more embossed. There are options that are slightly flatter, kind of like this. So it really just depends on what you think. Obviously, will be the external fabric, so just kind of feel around and see if there's anything you like. Quite a few color options as well. Yeah, that's okay. It can be a little bit overwhelming. Obviously, you're going to be wearing them regularly, so you want to pick something that you'll be happy with.
I'm liking more of the flatter.
Okay, so
options.
Slightly less textured on the outside.
But either keeping it like a neutral color or like a black.
Okay.
I think
one of these more. Okay, so let me go ahead and take those off. That way you can have a little bit of a closer look. All right, so we have more texture variation there. Okay, so I will pull these for you. Those are more of a flatter texture. Now keep in mind that the underside is unfinished, so we will choose a fabric for the lining for you. So just focusing on the outside there.
so many options.
There are, I know. So this is a good neutral palette if you wanted something with a little bit of color, maybe something leaning red or green. If you really want something that will kind of match with whatever you're wearing that day, I might suggest like a black, or this is more like a camel. The only thing I would say about more of the lighter colors is obviously they're going to tend to get a little bit dirty.
I think I'm liking this one the most.
Okay. So this is a good compromise between a black and a brown. It's kind of like a softer black. It's a bit of a chocolate brown. I like it because it's not as stark of a contrast as the black. So just kind of against your skin tone. See your hand here. See the black is just a little more harsh. Yeah. Okay. Good. So I'll go ahead and mark that down. And if you wanted to come in and get a secondary pair, I can double check with your insurance to see how many you're covered for, but sometimes people like to come in and get a second option if they want like a more elevated look, just something to switch it up every now and then. So let me go ahead and mark that down, and I need to just clean up some of this excess from the leather. Obviously your gloves will be finished at the edges and they'll be hemmed, so you won't have any of this excessive shedding. All right. Okay, so let me just mark this down. You are going with Java, so it is kind of like a brown black
like
mixture. Yeah, Java. And this is group 3. 4, 5, 2, 1. Okay, all right. Good. So go ahead and keep that with your file. Now, let's see. The only other thing I wanted to do is to test out the fit, and then I will have you on your way. So I'm going to use this glove as our example, I believe, because this is the most of the everyday kind of feel. I would say The other one is maybe just a little too rugged for what you're looking for. And then this blend, maybe a little more winter leaning. I feel like this is kind of more everyday. So let's try this one on. It would help if I got the one for the correct hand. So let's try this one on, and then I'm just going to do a bit of a fit comparison here. So are we 2 and 1 there?
There we go.
There we go. Okay, all right, so we will try that on. So this one obviously is very large on you. I'm going to... All right, so we did measure around the cuff, and you said you like a bit of a tighter fit there. So I'm just going to pinch off some of this excess fabric here. Does that feel better?
Yeah.
Okay. Now the fingers, these are actually not too bad of a fit. You do have slightly longer fingers, so some of them fit better than others. Your thumb is okay. Your index, I would say, has too much width, but the length is okay. So I will just pinch here. So you have a more slender profile there. Does that feel too tight? So we want to accommodate for the swelling, obviously, but they are also going to provide a bit of compression. So we want them taut, but not uncomfortably tight.
No,
That feels okay. All right. Now the middle finger, I would say, is actually just too long. So I'll just pinch that off. Much better. This one is far too long for you, so you do have quite a bit of a shorter ring finger. My goodness, it's like you've got a whole extra fingertip here. Okay, and the pinky actually fits pretty well. All right. Now, I would say we've got a little bit of excess fabric here, a little more than I'd like to see at the top of the hand. Okay, and then if I can have you flip your hand over for me, Samantha, I want to check. So we've got some gapping here at the other side of the wrist as well. Good. And then the palm too, I think, is just slightly too loose for you. Now the leather obviously is not as pliable as a fabric, so it will have a slightly stiffer feel, but still accessible for everyday wear. Now, I want you to just perform a couple movements for me with that fit so we can kind of see if we need to adjust anything. So I'm going to have you stretch your hand out just like this. Does that feel too tight anywhere?
No.
And if you make a fist, bearing in mind the one in the middle of your hand, does that feel okay? Is that too tight at the top of your hand?
No, that feels fine.
And then are you able to kind of extend full range of motion? All of that feels okay?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Very good. So I will attempt to remove this. Good. Okay, now we have a prototype here that I will add to your list there. Now, I'm just going to set that aside. The only other thing I wanted to ask you is there any sort of lining or kind of decorative items that you'd like to add? So for example, we have a lining that can go inside. If you want something just standard, it'll just be kind of soft, kind of like this texture as a liner. Otherwise, we can do like a fur lining. It really is up to your preference.
I think the fur line.
The fur?
Would be cool.
Okay. So I think I have, yes, I do have a few options here. The fur is actually a pretty popular choice. Tends to be the most comfortable. So now if we can imagine the leather and the fur would kind of act as your base layer. So the outer layer we would have the leather, and then the inner layer we would have the fur. Okay. So keep this here, that way you can maybe compare colors here. I might have a few more colors in the back, otherwise we have a few. This is actually navy. It's just covered with,
That's soft.
yeah, very, very soft. This is more of like a peachy and then a lighter pink. And then we have our neutral. So if you wanted to stick with the neutral, we have standard black, a little bit of a grayer toned brown, and then a warmer toned brown. So this is more of like a camel. This is more red tone for sure. And then we have a few kind of light taupe. Again, obviously the lighter colors might get a little dirty. Obviously the material is very washable, but it's completely up to your preference. Honestly, your choice really goes well with all of them.
I'm kind of leaning towards this gray.
The gray,
right here.
okay. So this is like a softer gray. I do like the undertone here. I think that goes well with the Java. I think black would be a little too stark.
Yeah.
And the browns maybe a little too same.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I like the gray. That's a good choice. Okay. All right, so I will mark that down for you as well. It is a very, very soft material. I think it will be quite comfortable. So you can imagine kind of this is what will be on your hand. So it does also make it very easy to get in and out. Good. All right. Okay, so this color is called Thumper. I love that. Thumper. Okay. All right, so let me just mark that down as well. We are going with Fur Thumper, and that is 630002. Okay, now let's see. Okay, perfect. So we have that down. Okay, now obviously these are both vegan options, so vegan fur and faux leather. Now, the only other thing I wanted to ask you is, do you have any add-on preferences? So do you want maybe like a water resistant coating on the leather? Do you want them to be water resistant? Do you have a preference there?
Yeah, I
You
think,
think-
I think
okay.
that'd be beneficial.
Okay. So I do recommend it, especially if you're planning on wearing them kind of day to day. Obviously, if it's raining or snowing, you don't want to risk them getting damaged. So go ahead and add on the water resistant. And then the other option we have is a stain resistant. So we can apply that to either the outside, the inside, or both.
I think I might pass on that.
Okay, so we'll pass on the stain. That's totally fine. Okay. Now for the inside, once you come pick up your glove, I will send you home with a specialized cleaner that you can use to clean the inside of the glove because it will be hand wash only. And we recommend that you use the detergent provided, and then once you're done, we can go through your insurance and have them basically prescribe you another bottle so that you can continue to wash them as needed. All right, so I think that will take care of everything. Now, the process can be quite a bit lengthy just because they are custom made. I would say it's anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks typically. If there's any delay on the fabric for whatever reason, I will let you know. But will that timeline work for you?
Yeah, that'll be fine.
Okay. So I will go ahead and let you know when they are ready, and I'll have you come back in for a secondary fitting so we can make any adjustments if necessary. But at that point, we should be good to go.
Okay, thank you
All
so
right,
much.
well, thank you so much. I'm excited to get you your new gloves, and I hope you enjoy them.
Thank you.
Thank you. Jesus Christ.